honestly. A few of the champions that can do really well against it available. See what Burdol's going to go for in response, as well as what else is the priority, right? Because you can't go for the Corki. Things like the Tristana are found away. You actually want to prioritize something. Varus can go.
So the Varus is the easy one. What's happening in mid lane? Because you can't get the Solaire, your Corki's gone as well, you don't have Chase LeBlanc or Tristana, so they lock in the Cassante to say, alright, well, you got the Rumble. They might try and lane swap away from it now. We see a lot of lane swaps against the Rumble, so already I'm keeping my eyes on stuff like, well, what if you have a strong level 1, you know, Nautilus or something like that for LGD? RNG might want to lock in some level 1 fighting champions themselves, just so they can secure themselves like a better level 1 if LGD do want to lane swap. Even with the picks locked in, I think that's a likely.
I was really hoping RNG would go with ASOL. They just picked up Teacher Mara as a coach. ASOL was the answer, but it will be the way locked in for Tango. And still an incredibly strong mid laner. There's been individuals in the LPL that have made Wei look like it should be first pick. Namely Fofo, I think, has looked really, really good on that pick. But Huanfeng goes for the Draven. He's often known for his utility picks, but Draven is very much in Huanfeng's wheelhouse. He actually trained under Jackula on IG Young, so no stranger to aggressive lane. Does feel that way, doesn't it? See, that does come to bear. I love the Blitzcrank ban against Ming. I feel like Blitzcrank is like a secret pocket pick where it's not a secret at all, but he does like to pick it off.
Oh yes, the secret, which is not secret, the operative word.
When you think of Ming, the first thing you think of isn't Blitzcrank, but actually when you look at his history, he's played a lot of Blitzcrank over the years, like more than most, I would say. Alistair,
it's like saying like Eddie AD carry. Oh yes, my secret Varus AD carry. They will not expect that it's the most played AD carry for however long. It's like on that kind of level. I do think the Alistair's a really good down here on the other side.
Yeah, it's not quite as bad as that, but it's definitely within that realm. Vi going to be taken off the board away from Meteor. I will say, Zyra's available. Just going to throw that out there quickly.
True. Yeah, I like seeing Zyra. Zyra's a fun champion, and I enjoyed playing that champion as well. And if we're going down to AP junglers, that there's a chance of going towards that. Problem is, you kind of need the AD mid laners to make sure that your jungler isn't over-indexing on APs, and then everyone just goes into Merc Treads of a million different magic resist half items and stuff like that. The Virus found a way, but the other pairing of that mid jungle, typically the Vi Ari, is locked in of Haichao. It's a squishy lobby now, right now for RNG, so feels like Haichao could really pop off in this pick.
Unlike every single solo queue game ever, RNG was not that. And so Haichao can go for that one in the mid lane. Obviously, the skin not available on this patch, so we won't be getting our first glimpse at that one in the LPL just yet. Ming going to go for the warm, surprisingly deceptively good alongside that. Draven can set you up with the stun and protect you to just get that damage out. We'll see what the jungle lock-in is going to be for Wei, because it's quite a squishy competition.
Would go Sejuani or Maokai. That would be Maokai can still be picked off by the Ahri. They're not tanky enough to survive that. Sejuani might be okay. Like I said, this is a Wei classic. Wei really used to love this one in the meta when it started coming through for jungle prominent. Then Meteor goes for the Grave. So it's going to be AP mid AD jungle for both these sides, as opposed to what we've seen in previous points in this series. And it does kind of feel like LGD, they are really relying on Shaoye and JinJiao to start off their fights. They are the ones with the pick CC most of the time. Haichao can follow up the Ahri as well. On the other side with RNG, Wei is the real engaged button. That's kind of it.
Yeah, it feels like if RNG fall behind in this game, it's going to be so difficult to contest anything. Like, who is space checking Ming? Even with the Unbreakable, that will last for so long. Let's find out how this one's going to go down. RNG need to have a solid early game, and to be honest, that has not been their forte so far this split. It's been a little later on into the game than we saw this previous game. They managed to win it out. It was a slow and steady one, as opposed to snowballing. But Fearless makes you play multiple styles, and we'll see if RNG can adapt things here for Game 3.
Remember, folks, this is currently a bottom-of-the-barrel clash in Group B. There will be a second round robin. It is absolutely not over if one of these teams loses. And even if you do end up going into the bottom two in these groups, you qualify just for Group B of the next stage of the LPL. Doesn't mean you're immediately out. It just means your job gets a little bit harder. The fire turns up a little bit hotter underneath you. Getting a win here and maybe snatching a second place in this group in the second round robin. Yeah. Start right here.
It would still be a mountain to climb, but the mountain climb starts with that first step. Both of these teams getting their first win of the split today in this series. Let's see who can get a series. I fear we missed the first set of JIOs. I hope we missed the first set of JIOs, because if we didn't, it just means only one team got, which is a sad reality.
Yeah, it wasn't great in the last game either. Right, so we did say, potentially, lane swap business coming in from LGD. You don't necessarily love lane swapping versus something like a Draven, I guess because there's the easier chance of a cash-in, but giving ZDZ a free lane on the Rumble versus the Kansai, I don't love it, Joe. I don't love it. LGD aren't positioning themselves for a lane swap. In fact, RNG were in position to maybe respond to one on the other side. They brought up their bot lane. Looks like we're getting standard lanes, and for me, that's a big win for RNG. I think that LGD should have tried to hard force that. Rumble with loads of gold and experience is just not a fair champion.
Yeah, especially with the new first strike as well, where not only are you going to have prio and get ahead in farm, you're just proccing first strike on repeat, literally on cooldown. That's going to be 15 gold plus a little bit extra each time into ZDZ's pocket. He's going to enter the mid game rich.
Yeah. Speaking of some of the other lanes too, so Ari, we don't see it as much in summer as we did in spring. It's my favorite champion. I've been playing that champion for far too long myself. And one of the things which I've really been noticing in terms of the different gameplay from Ari in the last year or two has been about the level 1 dominance, getting that W on target. Haichao started Q and missed it in that mid lane, so maybe Tanyuan can use the early HP, which he kind of shouldn't have, to maybe control that mid lane and allow Wei a little bit more into the game. On the other side, I think that Meteor can't really impact the game in the same way as that Wukong too. Both these junglers are kind of relying on their lanes to give them a path into this game.
We'll see which lanes will find that advantage. You can see Huanfeng obviously having the advantage at level 1 on Draven, not surprising. Tanyuan very good at pushing, ZDZ very good at pushing, which does lead you to believe perhaps Wei will have run of the map to start off with, because it's going to be very difficult until you get a bit of lethality into Shaoye's pocket to really contend.
Oh, did Huanfeng just... Look, folks, again, I feel like I need to do this because Ashin's not on the cast, but like Ashin, every time that something like gets missed, like a cannon, will just immediately point out, by the way, the LPL observers are savage. They will not let you miss any of this. You will be held to account for missing your cannons, folks.
I've seen slow-mo replays of cannons being missed in really slow games, like the LPL.
By the way, Shaoye missed 3 minions there too, in case anyone else wants to flame that. We've got this. We got you covered.
Yeah, no chill is the best descriptor, I would say, for the production squad over in Shanghai. They do love to highlight these kinds of shenanigans. I'm curious how this early game is going to go as Meteor moves down to this bottom side. JinJiao, if he could find a hook, perhaps could get an angle to set Meteor up, but I do think this will just be a trade of crabs to start us off with. Very neutral in the jungle. The question will be, will Wei look for anything after this reset, or will he just try and keep farming up and get to that level 6 on his Wukong?
Well, you really want first back to get something in your inventory. I guess it really depends on what the first item is too, coming in from Wei. You can go towards Black Cleaver first. Sundra, particularly when you have less AD heavy compositions, also just very strong. In general, I'd imagine that will be the first build when you've got the double AP solo laners. He goes into the enemy jungle. This is a thing which we've seen for years now. After you finish your first or second clear, you just recall in the enemy jungle. You put down a ward, even if you're not stealing enemy camps. Getting a ward for the second respawn can help.
Big from Burdol here. Got the turret shots hitting onto ZDZ. It's not going to lead into a kill opportunity, but it's a nice little trade onto him. ZDZ now chunked heavily. He's actually going to have to reset.
Yeah, he got the wave shoved in. He's going to back with 30 CS. Burdol actually doing much better in the individual lane than we have seen other Cassantes do into this matchup. Rumble gets himself that tier 2 power spike though of Boots, which is really, really important. For stuff like top laners, particularly melee versus melee, Boots can be such a big breakthrough. So you just run at people over and over, just as their bot lane. Also showing the power of running at people. Very underrated, I feel.
If there's one thing Braum and Draven are good at, it's running people. That is pretty much both of their speciality. Chasing you down, JinJiao, a bit of a tapper. They'll be okay with things. The one problem they've got is Huanfeng has completely frozen the wave down in that bottom side. Way moving into that area.
Passive, it's dangerous.
Shaoye in big trouble. That's exhaust as well. Good flash for the stun, and he will do so. Huanfeng trying to catch him for first blood, but he can't quite get it, and it's Ming to grab the kill. Meteor answers. It's a bit of a disaster for RNG.
Oh, and Huanfeng ends up losing, what, 70 stacks or something like that. That's we'll call that a bit of a blush moment there in that bot side. Very, very close to getting the Braum passive in the right kind of timing to kill down that Varus. Doesn't quite manage it. Haichao teleports as well with that level 6. Could have cleaned up the back end of that play if it even lasted even longer. It is a 1-for-1, but it is not an even trade. The Draven not getting the kill really flips this towards LGD in terms of favorability. They do end up hitting that Braum Q. It ends up really being important there. So all of this is happening. JinJiao and the minions also damaging Huanfeng back in return. Meteor's first back to the play as well. Kills with the spell screen, which is a stylish move for himself. He walks away.
JinJiao flashing there to get his CC chain onto Huanfeng might just have been the difference maker. Meteor moving over to try and contest these. Way will smite away a second.
Oh, that's a hook!
That's a hook and a half from JinJiao. Burdol chasing for more, but instantly pulled back. Way survives, got 2 grubs. Last one will be smited by Meteor. 2-for-1 on the grubs, and it feels like the pace of the game is speeding up.
And it feels like Meteor has gotten the first foot into the door in this game. Neither of these junglers have an easy route into this game. It's not like you have a really good early game combo to play around. Graves has some setup in that bot side, but you're not the best early damaging jungler. Same with your solo lanes too. And as we talked about before, you mentioned this, Quay really needs like one item, needs level 6. Hasn't got to that point just yet. Feels like RNG, they have a great comp for team fights later into the game where they can have so much area denial, but they have to get there without bleeding out too many important kills. They are still ahead in gold. They still have themselves a strong top lane, strong bot lane laning phase, but these kind of losses around some of these objectives, they realistically should have won around those grubs a bit more heavy, and they shouldn't have lost those stacks onto the Draven. That will still worry them.
It certainly will. It's not an ideal start, but it's still a decent start for the side of RNG. First Drake is up onto the map and away. Bottom side of the map as well, as he hits level 6 off his red buff. You know that he wants to at least threaten an objective, if not threaten for some kills. Realistically, I'm not sure that this is a fight LGD would want to take against the level 6 Wukong.
If you get the level 6 on your Nautilus, maybe you could have done, because Aru's also strong at this point in the game too, but you need a good angle into the fight. You don't have level 6 on the Nautilus, you're not into River first. Tenor is hanging out in Fog of War. They could fight, but we'll see how much they can get.
It's going to be the Drake taken no matter what here. Can they find anything else off the back of it? Ming just drops. Tango stands his ground and tries to fight. Had flash available, but just ends up going down. A questionable decision from the RNG mid lane.
If he flashed backwards, he wouldn't have been able to get over the wall. He wasn't close enough. And LGD, they used their CC and their level 6 marks to do enough damage before Wei really returned fire. If that Wukong had got into the backline with the level 6, maybe it could have made the difference. But that wasn't the case. LGD, they don't get the dragon, but they get some gold. And as we said, RNG really don't want to be giving up that extra gold right now and get snowballed on by the likes of the lethality building Braves and the Ahri that picked up some kills too.
Tango in there feeling the wrath of Braum telling you to stand behind him and then ceasing to assist. Never an ideal situation.
It's like you know, in like in Overwatch, there's that meme about justice reigns from, and then just the voice line never completes because they've died. Same kind of thing here. Ming goes, stand behind, and they're just gone. The CC chain is absolutely nuts. They get hit by the Varusol, out of Fog of War, the Charm afterwards, the resets come through from Arian. Yeah, Tinyman has Flash, but he just can't get over the wall in time. He positioned maybe a little bit poorly after maybe misunderstanding how tanky Ming
Yeah,
was.
I think the Marisol caught him. I think that's why he was
Yes,
in
yeah,
such
yeah.
a compromised position in the first place. Good stuff from LGD to punish, but still the Drake goes the way of RNG. So I don't know if they'll be quite happy with the way that one went, but at least they got the objective that they moved in for.
Really important moment coming just up now. So you have Grubs spawning. We have Malignance built up on Haichao, which means that one of the big playmakers for LGD is Ari in the mid lane, which can go jump forward and start launching charms. Has the ultimate on a much lower cooldown. The pace of the game should hopefully increase from LGD. I think now is the time to strike before you have RNG in position with big items on stuff like the Rumble and the Wukong to really make a difference. Of course, Haichao, with the most gold in the game right now, can be the instigator of that.
See if he can find his angles, see if he can find a good charm, find a good ult, and potentially set up to snowball a fight. We've been talking about resets, we're talking about snowballing fights all day because it's been all about the ego. But Ari, not a lot different when you do get an extra charge of that Spirit Rush. And he sets up to snowball a fight like crazy. Meteor the one on the Grubs to start off with. Huanfeng has swapped up to that top side, but they're still going to be late to the objective regardless.
What's happening here? Well, okay, so ZDZ has teleport. Shaoye's like, right, wait, we're fighting Grubs? I should leave. I should go. ZDZ's teleporting. Shaoye left earlier. We might have ourselves a fight anyway. They're teleporting straight onto the charm.
Okay, ZDZ flashes out to safety here. Has the equalizer available. That's one Grub for Meteor. Third for LGD of the game. On a second, sorry. It's two apiece here. ZDZ is denied entry. There's a third one for the side of RNG. ZDZ just tries to all in onto JinJiao, but he doesn't really have the damage, and Haichao will finish the job. No, exhaust comes out. JinJiao still surviving. Haichao now, the next one on the chopping block as Wade dashes back out of the play. Double ult comes up through, and Haichao has to ult away and flash to safety.
Flashes out of the ultimate coming out from Tanyuan. It's a bit of a sloppy pick around the side from LGD, but it does stop ZDZ from affecting the team fight. That's going to lead to, what, 3 Grubs apiece, so it's not going to be the might buff unlocked from either team. LGD, they really committed to that. Shaoye roamed up early. They really wanted to take that fight. It's a little bit worrying that it ended up being, what, a 1-for-1, all things said and done, and the cash-in for Huanfeng adds extra value for RNG. They're trying to dive Tanyuan to keep the kill score racking up.
He's trying to just clear the wave. I don't think he's there in time, but Wei arrives to try and protect his mid laner, takes a bit of damage himself. Haichao wants to finish these kills off. Flash from Tanyuan, and RNG's mid and jungle will walk away with their lives.
Okay, flash down on Tanyuan, that's an important thing to track now, because what we have seen is LGD, they built up the items to increase the pace of the game, namely the Malignance, and they wanted to start getting those picks. I think if you time the charm perfectly, there shouldn't be a way to flash out of this, and Haichao waits a little bit too long on that. Doesn't quite end up getting that proper no counterplay charm with that one. But still, ZDC with no flash and being out of the rest of that team fight does get zeroed out. It just takes a little long to reach towards him. See that the equalizer goes down, Haichao doesn't throw all of his skill shots while he's CC'd to miss both parts of the queue pretty much. Means that the pick takes a little too long and it ends up in a 1-for-1, and of course Haichao has to ult and flash out of it.
Honestly, a very weird skirmish coming out. Like, that was a difficult one to track. Not just for me, I'm sure for everyone at home as well. 2-4 on the scoreboard. Gold pretty much dead even. The Grubs have ended up 3-3 at the end of it as well. But Drake spawning in 10 seconds, and RNG very much got their eyes on that one after getting the first.
Yeah, we do have some important items to talk about. One item on most of the important members from LGD. There's a Leandries on ZDZ, though, on the other side, and the Bloodthirst step. Those could be really, really important for Huanfeng. Maybe cleansing and looking to lifesteal through a fight. Haichao gets a decent chunk, gets the Guardian out for free as well. ZDZ's onto the play now, and they can't just isolate him on the side of the fight. He's already with the team.
RNG have to keep fighting. Remember, they can't fall behind with this composition, or the game will be doomed. But Burdol just muscles his way forwards and sets up for a big Tanyuan falls. Dragon taken as well, as Haichao has 2 more Spirit Rushes. Perhaps could look, but instead just going to clear this wave away. LGD very happy with that.
They got 1 more Spirit Rush charge, maybe just enough room to get a charm off. Nope, this ends up decaying just in time. That thing is, when they burned the flashes to escape that play towards that top lane turret, that did kind of put a target on Tanyuan's back. He couldn't end up retreating from the play. LGD take themselves a dragon, they get themselves another kill. They need to be getting this kind of stuff. They do want to be ahead in this early game and to start snowballing before the likes of this Sway can pretty much one-shot most people on the enemy side of the rift. RNG felt, again, a little bit like their setup for the objective was quite disrespectful. It's something that both of these teams have fallen prey to at the start of summer.
Haichao is loving this game, though. Like this RE pick where realistically there's no one that can actually lock you down on the enemy team. Like RE struggles when someone else can stop you from moving around the play. I mean, he's been fine. He's been flying around wherever he wants to be. Surely, I mean, sure that skill shot accuracy hasn't been perfect so far this game, but still 3-0-1. And he's locked that Dark Seal in as well, but he's about to face check, and perhaps, no, he still just flies away because nobody actually has the hard CC.
If that's a Leona or Nautilus, then maybe Haichao dies. He doesn't have Flash still as well. Remember, he has the Malignance. Losing the ult is not as big a loss as it could be, and it's also level 11 too with some kill participation on the Ultimate Hunter. Haichao's ult pool then is really not that significant, even with some nerfs to that in patches before. So that's a lot of, you know, it's an attempt towards topside. It's not really any tools used by RNG, but it's still not the most valuable target it could go towards. Gonna go back towards the last play. Shaoye, honestly, great ult so far. At the last Dragon fight, around this one too, those ultimates have locked someone down, and while some of the CC combos have been a bit awry from LGD, the start of them has been good.
Yeah, good ult from Shaoye. And in the meantime, ZDZ managed to get that tier 1 in the bottom side while LGD grabbed the Herald. The ultimate obviously used by Haichao, but kind of ended up being his owning ultimate anyway to guarantee that objectives. JinJiao chased by Wei, but very difficult to close the gap. And in the meantime, it's worth mentioning, the observers would be mad at me if I didn't. Haichao did this.
Missed the cannon. Yeah, I was going to mention if you didn't. I'm glad that we've got this covered. It is the most important thing that we can give to you, the viewer, to shame publicly and very loudly when players are not very good at killing minions. It's really important, so I think, to hold them to account. It's got that.
I was going to say Chovy's turning in his grave, but I'm pretty sure he's still alive.
He's still very much alive and kicking. He's actually done quite well recently, in case anyone missed that.
Yeah, he's doing okay. He's doing okay. I'm going to be honest, not the greatest series of League of Legends that I've ever commentated going on our screens today, but I do feel like teams like this, you've got to see what the improvement looks like over the year, because not only do we have some new players, we've got Juice playing his first ever game, but even players like Tang Yuan, players like ZDZ on this new team, players like Haichao as well. Like, how do they improve over time? Games like this are their opportunity to stand out from the crowd.
Okay, so now you've got the Herald going in towards mid lane. This could be a flash forward for a Nautilus ult. The Braum Shield's currently down. Going too far. Maybe they're afraid of ZDZ coming up from bot lane. He was off bottom, so that would have been potentially quite dangerous. So LGD take that mid lane outer turret. I think this is danger mode now for RNG. Yeah. They haven't lost their outer turrets, but losing in the side lanes, but they have in the mid lane, makes it much easier to them again move forwards with the RE, particularly 3 kills. Again, my pet peeve, I would be remiss to not mention this, get your Dark Seal before you get the kills, otherwise you don't get value out of it. You want to be snowballing in this game, get it first back, I say actually, on RE most of the time. He's pretty happy with how the game's being played, but he could have been just that slight percentage better, which would have made me a very happy RE main, Joe.
Well, unfortunately, you can't always have exactly what you want.
But I want this
that many
for
Christmases
Joe.
ago, yeah. Haichao didn't have the Dark Seal in his stocking, unfortunately. That was the last present he unwrapped. Nightmare. He wanted a BMX after
you just have to, the morally correct thing to do is to just get down on one knee in front of your RE player and say, will you stack my Medjais with a Dark Seal ring? That is the only, that's like the societally appropriate way to get them onto their snowballing champion. He's going to the Andrew second. Such a really good topic of conversation. He'll be better at killing the front line that way. So Haichao, pretty happy to play a slower burn version of the RE in this game.
Yeah, very happy with especially the pace of this game so far. You're going to be able to get value out of the Leandries if you're sort of this somewhat pokari with the way that these fights have been going. It's just been a lot about chucking out a couple of skill shots, trying to get some damage down before the play really kicks off. ZDZ in the meantime, we mentioned this Rumble in the laning phase should have a big advantage when he's come out of the laning phase.
He sees Shaoye here.
Up, but Shaoye maybe can capitalize. Just takes a Nitro Harpoon and then takes an Equalizer on top of it as well. ZDZ just farming him for gold.
Hey, it just looks and goes, do I have my first rank up? Yep, okay, eat this. Using the ultimate, figures that there wouldn't be a big fight. They'd already seeded bot side for the dragon. Haichao should be fine to just wave clear this out, so Wei's not really going to get much out of this. And yeah, RNG, they leave the dragon. They don't really get anything for it. They're continually pushing down this top side, but one of the great things about Haichao having flash and ult is that it's just really hard to kill him. He stood in the right place to spot if there was going to be a dive coming down. Sadly, he doesn't have a ward to secure himself top lane presence right now, but JinJiao could come up and rectify that situation with Haichao. I don't think he can quite wave clear this down.
So RNG trading a Drake for a bit more gold into their pockets, which, to be honest, with this composition, I don't mind. The problem is you're also losing a tower in the bottom side, so not necessarily a big
yes, we are trading gold
acquired.
for gold. Yes, we have come ahead of this.
Yeah, the problem is the focus Drake on top of everything else. Not ideal, really, for RNG, but decided that they're not in a position. Honestly, this comp from RNG, I'm not sure you can ever say we're not in a position to fight. I feel like you just need to try and be in a position to fight.
Yes.
If you fall too far behind, this just feels doomed.
And I think also the big thing for me is that we saw this around the second grubs when we saw Haichao and JinJiao just go straight towards ZDZ. ZDZ is fantastic if he can get a big AoE teamfight ultimate. If he has to approach from the side and LGD find him, that fight is over for RNG. You need the Rumble to be doing a large amount of damage, and I feel like LGD have the tools to shut him down on the side. If they give up vision control, if they're losing his side lanes, if they're losing out of turrets like they are right now, it becomes very much about vision play and stopping this Ahri from assassinating the Rumble, who's gone towards a little bit of HP. Yes, with the items he's built up a little bit of armor, but no magic resist. I think Ahri's going to be very happy taking down that Rumble.
Worth quickly mentioning, it's 21 minutes on the clock, which means Baron is alive and Meteor is in the game. So keep your eyes on the top side of the map here. Ming,
honey, it's Baron time.
The flash engage. It doesn't really find anything though, as the rest of RNG are zoned away. And Ming dashes to try and escape. There's nowhere to go. Huanfeng
Yes, the charm still.
RNG chased down to the Charmlands on the way. Tangyuan takes a Q as well, as LGD continue to chase RNG across the map.
I was wondering if there'd be a charm flash even at the end of that with the second one of the fight. Great patience coming out from LGD to take up that initial attempt at an engage question mark. I'm really not sure about that one. They're going to go maybe turn onto the Baron themselves now. It's currently that 4v5. Ming has respawned, but they're going into Fog of War. Okay, they see that they're not on Baron because they had a blue trinket on it. So LGD, they take the kills, they walk away.
Yeah, blue trinket just used, I believe, by Huanfeng there to spot things out. Bit of respect coming out from LGD. I kind of just expected them to give it a go on that one, but deciding they don't feel safe to do it. And they don't want to flip the series. Remember, this is game 3. Neither of these teams had won a single game coming into this series. Now it's game 3. They want that series win.
I don't know what Ming's thinking here. Maybe he thinks he can blow the spell shield off of Shaoye with a Q and then get the ult after, but then he's body blocked for. This is the difference between playing something like a Leona or a Nautilus and then the Braum. Braum's great on the back foot, but can't do the same to lock down this fight. Dies very early and means that RNG don't have their one real frontliner to buy some space for them. Now we go straight back to the same problem they have, which is they've given up vision around an objective. LGD loves sitting in the dark, forcing RNG to come into that.
Little Bro thinks he's Mickey X with the flash Braum engages. Ming doesn't quite make it connect. RNG though, this is what we were talking about before. It's so difficult to face check in here for them. There's so much damage coming out from the opposite team. There's also not really any front line on the side of RNG to be the one making your way into that fog of war. LGD can keep this up all day long.
Yeah, they can. And sadly for RNG, it really just looks like they have to face check with the severing bolts from the way that QW, that lightning bolt from the sky. That's all they've really got. Haichao sitting in Fog of War, very happy to just keep that Liandry's ticking down on this slower burn build. Really damages a lot of those frontliners. Just playing Gatekeeper, and LGD very happy to pull RNG into the Baron yet again, see if they can get any good poke down.
Ming goes in, has to be the one to face check, but Unbreakable's on cooldown. That means he's not long for this Earthquake. Has to flash out of the play as well, but it's 1-for-1 for support. Huanfeng is caught. Beautiful from Haichao. Great follow-up from Shaoye. CDC forced away. LGD can return to the Baron once more.
And credit to LGD, the big criticism we've had of this series, which is one of the series of all time, is that the setup for objectives has not been fantastic from either of these teams. This one's been much better. They've been playing around the vision control, very obvious what they want to do, look for charms, Varus, and then also the Nautilus CC as well, which is exactly what they do. The first thing to hit in this case is the charm. They notice that the shield cooldown will be then off. The duration of that, the damage reduction is down, and then the Braum melts. You said there's not really much product line. Once that shield down is from Braum, there is exactly none. Haichao's held on to his second charm as well. Use that very patient again from him. Even though some damage comes out from Tanyuan, it's not enough. Baron still up on the table, but LGD taking the kills, taking themselves another dragon, and just keeping this gold advantage ticking up slowly.
Yeah, and, you know, I feel like maybe LGD could have done the Baron, but decided that they want to get this third Drake. It was 10 seconds away as that play ended, so wanting to make sure that they are still stacking that objective. That is the permanent objective of the two, so making sure to keep control of that one. And that'll put them on Soul Point. Let's be honest, they can just return back up to the Baron again and just repeat the previous play. It's not like that play is really hard to make happen again.
It is just that kind of like, you just keep going back to it because it's just that clip from Rick and Morty. It's like, I just kept crawling at it, just kept working. I'm not proud of it, but it just kept happening. Same kind of thing. Like, you just sat here on the Baron, I'm like, I just kept baiting around Baron, it just kept working. RNG still have to face check this. They have a blue trinket coming up in a few seconds. They'll have to use that. LGD are just doing the same thing. Again, the RNG are going to keep doing the same face check. Again, blue trinket's down. They have to walk up again. Here comes Huanfeng. They know that Haichao's in that brush. They just can't do much about it.
Remember that time when we discussed Maokai in the draft for RNG? I feel like they're wishing they had a Maokai right now. Wei gets a knock-up though, and maybe JinJiao goes down. Perhaps a chance here, but RNG, the health bars are so low, and LGD can't quite finish any of them off. RNG, they do get a pick.
Okay, so maybe it's not as free as we wanted. Ming walks up, doesn't use the shield at first, but puts it up midway through the play and just about gets out with an exhaust, ignite, and the ultimate. LGD do blow like a good set of cooldowns on Ming. They don't get themselves the Baron, and that's a little bit concerning for them because that's meant to be the easy play, folks. What happens if the play gets harder?
Yeah, we were told we could rinse and repeat this. I'd like to talk to customer support, please. I'd like to speak to a manager. This is not the composition that I ordered.
I never took you for a take me to your manager type person, Joe.
The way he said "take me to your manager" sounds like I'm an alien invading the store.
You're not? Wow, that's news to me, buddy.
I mean, I may look like it, but I promise I am human. LGD TPing back towards the Baron. Tell you what, that's not human, the giant purple
This
worm.
is the Baron kill machine. The design is very human. LGD just keep going back to it. I mean, they failed the last time, but surely it'll work this time again, right? Missed the charm. RNG have a different path of entry this time. Maybe they can get themselves into the river.
ZDZ's part of the play this time as well, so the equalizer can definitely set up things. Root lands onto JinJiao, but he dodges the severing bolt. 5k on the Baron as ZDZ tries to push in again. Wei is chunked so heavily. Shaoye steps off with the equalizer. 3k on the Baron, and Meteor's just going to finish the job. Spike comes down. Now for the fight. RNG have to find some kills here, but they just can't close the gap. They're forced away. LGD, they get a Baron, and they're chasing for more. The charm lands. Meteor executes that Yordle from the top side. Wei now trying to escape as well. But Burdol slow. Haichao dashes back into play. Huanfeng solo. Another charm lands, and an arrow right through the heart. It's William Tell shooting arrows off heads.
LGD finally get themselves what feels like a killer blow in this series. It has been a bit torturous in parts of this game for the setup for the objectives, but LGD, they find themselves their playbook and they play it to the letter. 4-level advantage in that jungle for Meteor by the end of this play. Wei on the Wukong bluntly has just not been it. They needed this Wukong to be a big engaged threat. They have not been able to do that for the entirety of this play. And it really just feels like the weight of levels, the weight of playmaking and pick CC has absolutely demolished RNG, even with the charm not being followed up for a full kill. It's like you said earlier, it's just kind of being put down there for poke. They missed the Varus ult, it doesn't matter. They can just return back to their second round of regular cooldowns and return back to this play. No, it's not a clean wipe of a fight, but they end up walking over the Baron with a whole host of kills.
It's the fact that so many of these charms are landing, and then immediately Meteor can dash forward and finish with the shotgun, or Shaoye can get
16.
a max range Q
He's
to finish the job.
He's 2 levels up for the mid laner. Like, this is not fair. This is like 2020 farming meta.
It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. 11-4. And LGD now with the Baron can continue to push things forward. Honestly, this just feels like the range advantage is way too much in favor of LGD. And, I mean, in the mid lane, they don't even have a range advantage.
I think it'd be different if you had anything which you could pin people into the equalizer on. ZDC had a huge lead for so much of this game, but he just can't use it. Too much mobility. Here comes Wei. They might be trying it out.
The long-range combo shields come on through. Isn't enough? Tanguyen burning down to his cinder. But it's 2 for 2 overall. Haichao getting resets, though. I don't think there's much left in the tank for RNG. Huanfeng onto the fountain as the rest of his team crumbles. The Q3 charm can't quite land for Haichao, but the inhib will fall. They can move to the mid lane, or they can try and just end the game right here. Huanfeng trying to dodge away from these skill shots with the TP back in from Burdol. Huanfeng on his own, dodges away from the charm, takes a Q and a Q2. He's not even going to step forward before the Nexus will fall. This one is done and dusted. LGD take themselves a series against RNG.
We had some chats about speed runs earlier in the series. This series was anything but that. It was at points a little directionless from the teams. It felt like both of them were kind of suffering similar issues, struggling to set up round objectives, struggling to get clean team fights. LGD credit for them, at least in Game 3, for finally finding themselves really decisive team fight engages, firing up those regular skills to get the CC in the right place and walk away with the victory.
Certainly do walk away with that victory. Good stuff for LGD, and I'm glad to see it for players. I do feel like there were some good performances today across the board. Like Haichao had some good games, you know, not perfect games coming out from him, but still some good stuff to be shown. Him and Meteor having flawless games in the first and last game of the series. JinJiao having some really good stuff coming out. His Nautilus game looking really good. Or was it? No, it was his Leona game looking really, really, really solid to start the day.
Same champion, you know.
They are basically the same champion, but honestly, overall, LGD looking like the better team at the end.